we might finish in time. 146. Let's get an Alapin Gambit on the board. Yeah. Let's go takes. Bishop d3. So this line queen h4 check, yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'll show you guys after. Okay, let's get this. Oh, our favorite attack. Oh, this is going to be money. This is going to be money. 85. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Stop it. Yeah, that knight can't move. All right, I'm not going to get another game here, so I'll explain this one. So, yeah, we had an Alapin Gambit here, right? So, bishop e3 and takes an f3. So, basically, we're trying to use this diagonal for our bishop, and they've already played e6, so they're not going to be able to use that diagonal. And bishop e3 fights against, like, c5 and stuff. It also prevents them from declining this. So, if takes f3, knight takes f3. And very often we can just really transpose, because takes and bishop d3 is what I'll recommend. And this is a good line. Let me go to analysis board here. Because if they go queen to h4 check, we have here g3. So queen h4 is already a blunder. And in fact, in this position, black's already lost a piece. There's no queen move that can hold the knight. And if knight takes g3, we have, which looks very good, right? It looks like you pin this pawn to the rook, and you're threatening this. But we have this move, bishop f2. And all of a sudden, this is toast, because we're going to go bishop takes g3 next turn. And if bishop d6 here, yeah, knight e2, knight e3, knight e2. So we still have this pin. You cannot use this pawn for recapturing, but you'll use these pieces, and you'll pick up that knight. So these bishops work together very well. There's no queen e4 check either. So we're picking up that knight in this position of queen h4. So really the best move that black should play, and almost no one plays it, is c5. Because we're actually not threatening to take this knight, because they have this nice move, queen h4 check, and that's not a great trade for us. Also, we have to play g3 or bishop f2 or something awkward. So c5 just hitting at our center, so we play your knight f3, we'll recapture here, so now like the knight should move, and we'll castle. But most people are just playing knight to f6 back, knight to f3, which is going to be a direct transposition to this position where it takes, knight f6, bishop d3. So what, or you can get there, right, by, so if they're playing knight f6 to defend, takes, bishop d3, fake attack on the knight, we're not attacking it until we control h4, but now knight f6, knight f3, and this is very, very nice. So a lot of people play it like this, right? And this is what I did. This is our game, right? We're playing queen e1, and it's -1 right now because black, the engine's just saying black's up a pawn. But all of a sudden, like they play like one useless move, as a lot of people do, and it's plus 1.2. So queen to h4, this is a very, very strong attack, and it's thanks to this diagonal. This comes up in the von Poppel. This comes up in the von Hennig. This comes up a lot in our repertoire. This is an attack that a lot of you guys have won with, and I've featured on Weekly Gambit Genius. I'll get to your question in a moment. So queen to h4. So now we have this pressure on h7, and it's very severe because any knight move, as my opponent discovered in 2 moves, will immediately lose. So there's no knight move that can attack the queen. Any knight move immediately loses. And h6 can't work to free the knight because I control the other diagonal too. Bishop takes h6, and this attack will just crush. I'll just play like knight g5, and like the rook will come around. Or, you know, we'll just play something like bishop h7 check. So this is very, very strong. So h6 is not on the table either. And my opponent plays knight d7. It looks like, okay, maybe you can just fortify the knight here. However, I'm threatening in this position to eliminate that knight and eliminate the other knight. Either that, or I can put even more pressure with bishop to g5, which can even pin the knight to that bishop. So I'll be trying to take these knights, and so eventually we'll force like g6 to happen. G6 is going to be the only way to not get mated on h7 and to not allow a sacrifice on h6. But g6 puts all these pawns on late squares, and so lots of holes here. So now something like bishop to g5 is really, really strong. So in this position, for example, like if it's our move again, I don't know, so they do something like c5 to threaten here. And you'll note we haven't even used these guys, like knight c3, rook e1, like these are all useful moves. But knight takes d7 is a position like this, so if they can't take back with the knight because that is hanging, and otherwise, like, we're just going to be winning a piece. Otherwise, even if you don't have, like, a knockout blow like that, like, just bring these guys in, rook f3, rook f1. This knight becomes very, very weak as soon as that pawn has moved, and often, like, the knight can't really move because either, you know, you stack these rooks, you're hitting f7, or you're hitting e7, or there's just all sorts of holes around the king. You know, you can go here, you can bring the rook to h3. So lots and lots of, like, really fun attacks here that black really should know what they're doing. So as I mentioned in this position, like, they should be kind of striking quick with c5, really seeing this resource, but this is such a rare move, c5. Let me check out the Lee Chess database. So c5 is, wow, 7 games out of 3,400. 2,000 here with knight f6, another 700. The second most common move is queen h4 check, which will just lose the knight immediately. So I saw a question, knight takes g3. Instead of bishop f2, can we play knight to f3? So you can. It's tricky. So no knight move because you're hitting the base of the discovered attack, right? So always a smart idea. But the queen can stay on this pin. So this is kind of like an interesting position of sorts. I guess here white has some compensation here. Maybe rook g5, you can bother the queen a little bit. But much better to play, right? Because they can move back, keep the pin, so they're not going to lose this knight. Much better, bishop f2, so now we're winning this. Knight can't move because there, and we're just going to take bishop takes g3, not losing our rook, not using this pawn. I should make the Gambit encyclopedia. Talking about queen h5 with the black knight taking the pawn on g3. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand your question. But yeah, so this is the Alapin Gambit though against the French. Just play bishop e3, always a useful starting move. Bishop controlling this diagonal. They take e4, you play f3. Then you're making this pawn trade in some way, whether they're doing that or knight to f6. And bishop to d3 here is nice, knight f3. And the engine prefers typically like knight c3, like this sort of attack with knight c3, queen e2, castles, trying to play g4, g5. Also very valid. This rook can come to f1. Got a lot of files, got a lot of nice diagonals, good space here. But it can be quite killer very, very quickly to play queen e1, queen h4, and this threat on h7 when it's unchallenged. So yeah, Alapin Gambit, great one. And I mentioned it comes out of a lot of other gambits in my repertoire. So there's like the von Hennig that you get here. We'll check back on this arena after this. But the von Hennig that I recommend against the Caro-Kann with bishop c4 here. So I talk a lot about, so here we play this move f3, right? And the reason bishop comes to c4 is because so we're fighting against these developing moves. Like if black's able to play bishop f5 and then like consolidate this and then control this diagonal after they castle, then they'll be fine. But we have some fun lines here threatening these sorts of ideas, and this is also covered in the von Hennig lines on my channel. And bishop to g4, we have this very nice trick of offering our queen in exchange for their king. So very often they'll play your e6, and we get this same sort of attack. Now we'll drop the bishop back to d3, play queen e1, queen h4, bishop g5, knight e5, trying to take it here. So that's a fun one, and it also comes out of the von Poppeel. So this is like the same attack that you guys can get. The von Poppeel Gambit being this line, here, 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 and also again here bishop to f5 is a testy move because of this idea of queen takes f3 attacking the bishop and the pawn. So these are all lines covered on my channel. Playing the von Poppeel Gambit is something you can do every time, and also if you're an e4 player like me, you can do it against Scandinavians. So you can just play d4 here, takes knight c3, knight f6, and the point is that if they bring the bishop out now, so we're always trying to fight against that. So if they bring the bishop out now, we have queen takes f3, attacking this, and so this is fun stuff, and black is already in hot water. So a lot of people will let's just do something like knight d7, and now after f3, take, e6, bishop d3. Oh my goodness, look what this looks like. They jammed the bishop in there, we took this diagonal, queen's coming to e1, coming to h4, no pawn on f2 in the way of that, and also the rook is going to be there to also help pile on the sacrifices to try and checkmate them on h7. So fun stuff, c5, queen h4, like I've had positions like this just like a million times, and these are really, really fun attacks. So this can come out of a lot of different lines, and I love this attack across my channel. So glad you guys like that. Wait, let me go back here. Oh, we won this arena by 7 points, actually, in spite of late joining, because I won 100% of my 10 games and berserked 7 of them. So fun stuff. Subscribe if I put any of that on YouTube. It really needed bishop g4, and when it didn't have that resource, it just really had to trade itself off, which gave white a bishop pair. Let's play an Alapin Gambit. Let's get the Gambit glasses back on. They've been on top of my head here. Alright, we gotta play knight d2 to encourage the capture. Not knight c3, which would have allowed this nasty pin, whereas now with bishop b4, I have just this move c3. b6 is a good move. Light square bishop is pretty dead otherwise. Let's see if we can get in our favorite resource. What black should do is delay short castling, because now there's this very strong queen e1, queen h4 idea, which is possible without the f2 pawn in the way. And the light square bishop and the queen coordinate very strongly on h7. If you guys are fans of my channel, you've seen this before. and it's pretty brutal to deal with. Let's try to show why here. So knight e5, so this knight is completely stuck. Actually, I should play bishop g5. It's not completely stuck. It has knight e4 thanks to this light square bishop. They have knight e4. Yeah, I cannot play queen takes e4, right? Thanks to this light square bishop. So knight e4, I would play queen h3. I think that's still probably rough for them because they still have to deal with this mate threat. Now, though, we can really take advantage of h7 here by just getting rid of a knight. Queen takes is forced, and then I'll have rook takes f6. Didn't even need bishop g5. Yeah, the reason why this is so brutal for black is because they don't have h6 thanks to the other diagonal I control. I would sacrifice, which would just pretty much checkmate them very quickly, and g6, I would put a lot of pressure here. g6 is often what's forced, and can be pretty tough to survive as well. So here we got a couple ideas. Let's play rook f1, get all of our pieces into the game. Even if they take that, we're still gonna have grabbed 2 pieces for the rook. This is looking pretty good. Yeah, so that g6 was forced. I was gonna checkmate them right away otherwise. Let's play queen takes f6, and now we're threatening to go bishop h6 and checkmate them, which is a pretty tough defense. Threaten mate here, but I have this move bishop e4. Bishop has done a pretty useful job here. It just stops there to, in the Alapin Gambit, just kind of to make this f3 transfer work, to like fortify e4, but it's done a useful job against queen takes d4 checks, and now bishop h6. Oh, not quite. What we should do, so the queen takes d4 check, they'll lose this bishop, but stronger is just to trade it. So now if they recapture, bishop h6 will just immediately end the game. Black actually can't take it because they would lose their only way to stop checkmate, which is this check. That's why very often in this attack also, if you don't know what to do, king h1, always a useful move, kind of. Something nasty I could play here is like bishop c6. Might actually be quite a good move. The point being, if queen takes e6, bishop h6, and there's no queen takes d4 check, which trades queens and saves the day, so they must play queen d6 to try and stay on this. But now my knight will jump in. Wow. Look at that. My knight's going to jump in. Really force the queen off of this pawn. There's nowhere left. They took that one square away. They needed, I guess, queen d8. I mean, regardless, I have 3 pieces for a rook, which is, like, quite the haul. But this is just a way to knock him out very quickly and really underscore the issues of this move pawn g6. So that was a pretty good demonstration of how strong this attack can be. We can see what black should have done, but that was a good Gambit Glasses win right there. Yeah, so knight d7, knight e5. Yeah, I think the issue is h6 already, like, these sacrifices can come in. Although the utility of the bishop could be shown here. There's some tricky lines, so knight e4 is possible because the bishop will defend that knight against queen takes e4 in this position. And it's possible black can hang on if they provide some really accurate defenses. The engine evaluates to draw, but immediately after c5, black's actually just develops pretty normally, but the h7 threats are very, very strong. No h6 because it takes, and if something like g6, then bishop g5, this pin becomes brutal. Knight can't move because I would just grab bishop takes e7, and otherwise I want to take it and take it. And that's kind of what happened in the game here. Takes, 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 g6, rook comes in, and we were able to chase this queen just off of queen takes d4 check, which was the only thing stopping just a killer mate threat, as black runs out of pieces here. Queen cannot stay on d4. So they take here, bishop h6, and now checkmate. So, nice one, subscribe if that one goes on YouTube.
William Graves, the Gambit man, takes his seat at the board. e4, e5, knight f3, bishop c5. The Bushcast Gambit on the board. On with the Gambit Glasses. Hero pawn unlocked.